Tony Khan and AEW secured that bag in 2024, but all that did was extend what has been a nightmare season for the secondary promotion. AEW's come up should be a time for celebration. A $180 million raise is good news no matter how you slice it. But given AEW's stagnation, it's also time to panic. AEW doesn't have a new lease on life as much as it's the living dead. AEW is every zombie in the Thriller dance not named Michael Jackson. They have the financial resources to soldier on, but they're walking around aimlessly inside a killer, thriller, chiller, thriller, hit tonight! AEW got MySpace, and that's a hard perception to kick out of. Justin Timberlake bought MySpace to try to revive it, but at the end of the day, it was still MySpace. If nobody cares about your wrestling promotion, I don't care if you get $500 million. AEW is getting paid to be uncool. Agenda or not, if you fairly look at all of AEW's KPIs in 2024, they're down. All of them. Ticket sales are down. Advances are down. B-shows were canceled. Stadium shows were moved to smaller buildings. TV ratings are down to the point where AEW Dynamite is routinely losing to NXT, which has a fraction of the budget and star power. AEW came to prominence by dominating NXT in the Wednesday Night Wars. The version of NXT that AEW beat was way more competitive in terms of star power. They had Adam Cole, Samoa Joe, Keith Lee, and Finn Balor. But suddenly AEW isn't even in the same league as NXT in its NIL era. Today, we're going to talk about why AEW continues to falter and how, despite getting paid, 2024 was AEW's worst year ever. Subscribe in Swahili.
What's good? Come get your free PWB sticker. You can stick me on your smartphone so I can listen to all your conversations like the government. But I won't tell anyone. I'll just judge quietly. I'm a healthy adhesive. Just post me on a MacBook because apples are delicious. We can even stick it to the man and jump on a cop car together. Whee! Because, hey, where you going, you selfish son of a... Is that all you got, you hoe-ass pigs?
Get your free stickers by clicking the link in the description. I don't think it's overreactionary to say it's panic time for AEW. It really is. AEW's storylines did not connect in 2024. Their top storyline is a hapless takeover where the Whitepool Combat Club is trying to show tough love to AEW, which needs a hero. Like most challenger brands, AEW has fallen for the trap of booking ex-WWE guys in top positions. So what was once a DIY movement on the cutting edge of pro wrestling has become WWE Light. It's one thing if AEW was pushing hidden gems from WWE, but they're overpaying Sasha Banks, Bobby Lashley, Dean Ambrose, Chris Jericho, etc. The result is big fishes being booked in small ponds. Tony Khan's lack of creative direction hasn't made AEW a bigger deal by acquiring top stars. It's made those top stars come off as a bad impression of their peak days in WWE. Tony Khan's worst move of 2024 was refusing to move on from his feud with CM Punk and deciding to air the real-life brawl-in footage. It was every bit as strategic as Drake suing Kendrick Lamar. CM Punk had clearly won the war against AEW in the court of public opinion. He debuted with WWE where he came off as an even bigger star, and even after getting injured, CM Punk was booked in arguably the feud of the year in 2024 opposite Drew McIntyre. At that point, AEW should have just moved on, never said the man's name again, and regrouped. Instead, Tony Khan wallowed in bitterness like a smitten lover failing to get over their ex. AEW's downturn can be directly related to the CM Punk Brawl-In segment on Dynamite. But if you ask Tony Khan, he reportedly believes that's what led to AEW's huge increase. Even if that's true, that's a huge warning sign. It's no secret that CM Punk is David Zaslav's favorite wrestler. One Bill Phil, remember? So if a CM Punk backstage brawl-in segment led to David Zaslav and WBD paying AEW, it tells me two things. One, AEW needed CM Punk to seduce David Zaslav into giving them a new deal. And two, AEW's new deal has nothing to do with the talent they have in place now. That's not good. WBD gave AEW a raise the same way they gave CM Punk a new TV show, and look how that turned out. David Zaslav has been a terrible TV executive. The fact that he's at the helm during a critical time for AEW on TV should scare the out of Tony Khan. AEW is one of the highest rated shows on WBD, which is like being the only person to survive the Titanic. AEW's Kate Winslet in this bitch. They survived not because of its promise, but because the dysfunctional conglomerate that is WBD needs AEW to stay afloat. And if CM Punk is the reason they got an increase to begin with, and Punk is with the competition, what does that say for all the top stars in AEW moving forward? One Bill Phil saved AEW. Now get ready for $1 Derby. Okada, Will Ospreay, Mercedes Moné, Bobby Lashley, and Ricochet all debuted in 2024. Salaries went up, ratings went down. These big names did nothing to make a difference in AEW's viewership in 2024. That's not their fault, by the way. Sadly, 2024 taught us that nobody is impervious to AEW going ice cold. Showing up in AEW in 2024 is like admitting you went to a Diddy party. I don't care if you left before the freak-off. Associating with AEW just isn't cool right now. For an entirely different set of reasons, because there's more baby oil out of freak-off than in AEW, but just barely. AEW could have a Beyonce Bowl in the middle of Daly's place and it wouldn't draw. Okay, no. Maybe the Beyonce Bowl would draw for AEW. Let's not get crazy. Here's how uncool AEW is. Vince McMahon was yeeted from WWE for unspeakable acts, allegedly. There was a whole documentary about this freaky nigga on Netflix, and WWE is still breaking records worldwide. Scandal schmandal. Even though Vince McMahon will forever be associated with WWE to most casual fans, the Vince McMahon scandal did nothing to hurt WWE's public perception because they're undeniably hot. They have the proper leadership and booking in place to lead a renaissance era. Meanwhile, AEW's biggest scandal was just a disgruntled employee slapping around his coworkers backstage on some pro wrestling shit. But because their beginner's luck ran out and they had terrible leadership, AEW spent all of 2024 as a PR punching bag. They dealt with a fraction of the controversy that WWE did, but because they had a fraction of the leadership, their struggles got worse throughout 2024, and that's not changing anytime soon. Honestly, that's not fair, but neither is Tony Khan getting $1 billion head start to launch a wrestling promotion, because there's no such thing as fair.
How about this Jacksonville owner, Khan? He is by far horrendous. The man has been there for 13 years. He's had 1 year where he's won 10 games. And he's got his kid, who's the head of the statistical data. How can you say anything about Jacksonville when you got the kid sitting in the freaking front office? What's he ever done in football?
AEW's calling card is its great wrestling. But when WWE got Vince McMahon out the way, they had great wrestling too. What's up? Pair that with great storytelling, and AEW was no match for WWE. AEW exists for an audience of one, Dave Meltzer. And if AEW's biggest supporter is a 65-year-old man, it's no wonder they're turning into TNA in 2010 before our very eyes. Dave Meltzer is the worst thing to ever happen to AEW. Tony Khan is booking for a geriatric star merchant. By paying Khan to promote a Wrestling Observer vanity project, WBD wasted its money, which, to be fair, is what WBD does best. Just ask Batgirl, Acme vs. Coyote, Joker 2, and soon to be the Batman 2. I don't know what AEW needs to be cool again. I don't know if anything can help. AEW ran smaller buildings to close out 2024, and as somebody who watches a product every week, I think these were some of their best shows of the year. Unfortunately, the ratings didn't reflect that. Dynamite is still being outdrawn by Africa NXT, AEW Collision is still a distant B show, and Rampage is gone. AEW will be in a pressure cooker for 2025 and beyond. They're on borrowed time. Their ratings are way down year over year. AEW Dynamite on December 27th last year drew 843,000 viewers with .31 and 18-49. This year, Dynamite's holiday broadcast drew 574,000 viewers with .18 and 18-49. That's a scary drop, and AEW cannot afford a similar drop toward the end of 2025, even on a struggling network like WBD. A story to monitor in 2025 is WWE and TKO continuing to fuck with AEW, this time with UFC, which exists under the TKO umbrella. UFC's current TV deal with ESPN is set to expire in 2025, and WBD needs an ace to help replace the NBA. UFC could be that ace. If WBD lands UFC and it outperforms AEW leading up to AEW's next TV negotiations in 2026, WBD will have way more leverage not only to give AEW a lowball offer, but potentially to move on from AEW altogether. Will AEW kick out of its uncool streak? Will UFC knock out Tony Khan from the ranks of WBD? Tell me in the comments!